The night of March 18, 1982, was a cruel one in Philadelphia. A silver Rolls-Royce Silver Spirit, a symbol of ultimate luxury and success, fishtailed wildly on a rain-slick Lincoln Drive, lost all control, snapped a guardrail like it was made of matchsticks, and tumbled violently down a 20-foot ravine. Inside that mangled wreckage lay the most famous soul singer in America, Teddy Pendergrass. His spine was crushed, his lungs were filling, and the voice that had moved millions was forever changed. Can you even imagine that moment? The sheer terror, the sudden brutal end to a life lived at full throttle? In the next few minutes, we're not just going to tell you how Teddy Pendergrass lost the ability to walk. We're going to explore how he refused to surrender the ability to move the world, proving that true power isn't in your legs, but in your spirit. Let's rewind 25 years, shall we? Back to North Philly, 1957. Little Theodore DeReese Pendergrass, born in Kingstree, South Carolina, but raised in the vibrant musical melting pot of Philadelphia, was already a force of nature. Imagine him, a tiny figure preaching sermons to empty milk crates, already an ordained minister at just 10 years old. The neighborhood wasn't wrong when they nicknamed him the Reverend with the Golden Throat. Every Sunday he'd sing the benediction, and honestly, half the congregation probably missed their bus home just captivated by that voice. He soaked up influences from gospel, soul, R&B, and even jazz, drawing inspiration from legends like Jackie Wilson, James Brown, and the smooth stylings of Nat King Cole and Frank Sinatra. By high school, Teddy was banging drums in local groups, honing his rhythmic skills, even playing for a group called the Cadillacs. But everyone knew the drums couldn't contain him forever. Then, one fateful night, the mic stand wobbled, he instinctively grabbed it, and the room, it just froze. That baritone, gritty like gravel dipped in honey, yet smooth as velvet, was pure gold, wasn't it? It was a voice that commanded attention, a voice that made you feel every single lyric. Enter Harold Melvin, a slick-dressed bandleader who was looking for a drummer for his group, the Blue Notes. What he got instead was a frontman who would redefine their sound. In 1970, Teddy stepped out from behind the drum kit and into the spotlight as lead singer. One rehearsal later, Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes became the opening act every soul review wanted. They signed with Philadelphia International Records in 1971, embarking on a legendary collaboration with producers Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff. In 1972, If You Don't Know Me By Now, hit radio, soaring to number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 and topping the R&B chart. Suddenly, Teddy was 22, and he was already teaching grown men how to beg for love. Hits like I Miss You, The Love I Lost, and Wake Up Everybody followed, solidifying their place in music history. But as the group's fame grew, so did the friction. Teddy was singing most of the leads, but Harold Melvin was taking most of the money and credit. It was a recipe for an inevitable parting of ways. Fast forward to 1977, Teddy, recognizing his own immense worth and talent, parted ways with the Blue Notes, ready to carve out his own destiny. He signed as a solo artist to Philadelphia International, and what happened next was nothing short of explosive. His self-titled solo record dropped and went platinum faster than the label could press vinyl. He wasn't just successful, he was a phenomenon. He followed it up with 4 more consecutive platinum albums, a record no other male African-American R&B artist had achieved at the time. We're talking about an unprecedented streak of hits. Close the Door, Turn Off the Lights, Love TKO. These weren't just songs, they were permission slips for intimacy, anthems for romance and declarations of desire. His smooth baritone, packed with passion and raw emotion, became the soundtrack to countless romantic evenings. His concerts? Forget it. Teddy pioneered for ladies-only nights. No men allowed. Can you even imagine the atmosphere? Women would arrive in limos, draped in mink, buzzing with anticipation. They'd rush the stage, throwing flowers, lingerie, and even their phone numbers scribbled on satin onto the stage. Some fans would even disguise themselves as maids just to get into his hotel room. He'd hand out chocolate teddy bear lollies as they swooned to his seductive slow jams. He wasn't just singing, he was creating an experience, an undeniable connection. Billboard crowned him the first black male sex symbol of the disco era. He wasn't just a singer, he was an icon, redefining masculinity and sensuality in R&B. His music wasn't just popular, it helped shape the quiet storm radio format, setting a new standard for romantic soul. He was so popular, many called him the Black Elvis due to his crossover appeal and lavish lifestyle. He bought a magnificent mansion in Gladwine, a Rolls-Royce with champagne flutes in the back, and a license plate that proudly read Teddy 1. For a minute, the man owned gravity. He was at the absolute peak of his powers, seemingly invincible. Which brings us back, chillingly, to March 18, 1982. After a late TV taping, Teddy was driving his brand-new Rolls-Royce Silver Spirit. It was after 1:30 in the morning, the roads were wet, and he took a curve on Lincoln Drive a little too hot. The car, that very symbol of his success, became his undoing. It fishtailed, slammed into a guardrail, then careened across the oncoming lane, crashing violently into two trees. He wasn't wearing a seatbelt, and the force of the impact caused his head to hit the roof of the car twice, shattering his fifth and sixth vertebrae. He remembers the roof caving in, glass dust floating like glitter, and then, nothing. Trapped in the mangled wreckage for nearly an hour, paramedics finally cut him free. Surgeons worked tirelessly, fusing vertebrae T4, T5. When he woke, the devastating truth was delivered. A doctor leaned in and uttered those 5 life-altering words. "Mr. Pendergrass, you're paralyzed from the chest down." 5 words that instantly eclipsed his 5 platinum albums. The headlines screamed like obituaries. The voice silenced. Radio stations played his ballads in memoriam. Even the women who once threw lingerie onto his stage now mailed flowers to his hospital room, a stark, painful reminder of how drastically his life had changed. The public was in shock, rumors swirling about the crash. His license was suspended for unpaid parking tickets, and he'd even wrecked a Maserati the week before. There was a passenger, Tanika Watson, a transgender nightclub performer, which only fueled further speculation and controversy. Though Teddy maintained she was just a casual acquaintance he'd offered a ride. Police eventually dismissed rumors of alcohol or drug use, attributing the accident to excessive speed and reckless driving. 6 months inside those sterile white walls, depression clawed at him harder than any car wreck. He isolated himself in his mansion, Chateau d'Amour, contemplating suicide and initially refusing rehabilitation.
I contemplated every exit you can imagine.
It was a dark, despairing period for a man who had once exuded such vibrant, undeniable charisma. The world saw a figure of pity, and the music industry wondered if he would ever truly sing again, let alone with his signature power. But here's where the story pivots, where the unbreakable spirit truly begins to shine. Despite feeling diminished, worthless, and inhuman, Teddy Pendergrass, with remarkable courage, found his turning point. One morning, he wheeled himself to the mirror, looked dead into his own eyes, and had a moment of profound self-reckoning. "Teddy," he challenged himself, "you still got lungs, you still got lips, you still got life, now what you gonna do with it?" This wasn't just a question, it was a declaration, a refusal to be defined by his circumstances. He checked out of rehab, determined to reclaim his life and his art. With immense effort, he acquired a modified van and began the arduous journey back to music. He drove himself to a tiny studio on Broad Street, where engineers watched in stunned silence as security carried him from his wheelchair to the piano bench. The physical act of simply getting into position was a monumental task, but his resolve was unshakable. He recorded a demo that very same day. His voice might have been a little shaky, but his soul, intact and burning brighter than ever. Word spread like wildfire. Teddy's singing again. Offers started to trickle in, but many promoters sadly saw him as a novelty, offering sympathy slots, charity telethons, hospital fundraisers. He politely declined, his pride and artistic integrity unwavering. He wasn't a novelty act. He was a headliner, a superstar, and he wasn't about to let anyone forget it. He worked tirelessly on his recovery, both physical and emotional. And in 1984, he signed with Asylum Records and released a new album, Love Language. It featured a powerful duet with rising star Whitney Houston, Hold Me, which became a top 10 adult contemporary hit and helped the album go gold. It was a clear message to the world. Teddy was back, and he was still making magic. Then came July 13, 1985, a date etched in music history. The Global Live Aid concert, a monumental event broadcast to an estimated 1.9 billion viewers worldwide, was underway. In Philadelphia's JFK Stadium, 90,000 fans waited, buzzing with anticipation. The atmosphere was electric, a collective wave of humanity uniting for a cause. And then, the moment. He wheeled onto a ramp center stage, a vision of strength in a crisp white suit and mirrored shades. Spotlights hit him, and the entire stadium seemed to hold its breath. It was his first live performance since the accident, a moment laden with emotion and significance. You could feel the raw courage emanating from him. He lifted the mic, his voice resonating with newfound depth and a touch of vulnerability. "Reach out and touch. somebody's hand. By the second chorus, the entire stadium was singing it back. Men, women, kids who weren't even alive during his first run. It was a powerfully emotional moment, not just for the audience, but for Teddy himself, who was visibly moved to tears on stage. That night, the song, originally a Diana Ross hit, peaked at number 3 on the UK charts, 13 years after its original release. Critics called it the most emotional 3 minutes of the 16-hour broadcast. Teddy Pendergrass, from his wheelchair, proved to the world that you don't need to stand to bring people to their feet. It was a triumphant moment, a testament to his indomitable spirit, and a powerful message that disability does not mean inability. Teddy spent the next 2 decades not just touring and recording, but also tirelessly raising money and awareness for spinal cord research. In 1998, he launched the Teddy Pendergrass Alliance, TPA, a non-profit organization dedicated to helping survivors of spinal cord injuries. The Alliance provided vital resources, helping people afford crucial wheelchairs, necessary home modifications, and life-changing therapy. He became a powerful advocate, using his platform to educate people on how to interact respectfully with those in wheelchairs, famously stating, "Disability doesn't mean inability." He emphasized the importance of seeing people eye to eye, recognizing their full humanity regardless of their physical challenges. In 2006, he recorded "I Am Who I Am," an inspirational and autobiographical gem that would be released in 2011 and later made widely available in 2025. It was one of the last songs he ever recorded, a deeply personal reflection on his journey, his regrets, and his ultimate self-acceptance. He even cracked the Billboard Top 10 again with his 1988 album Joy, which featured an R&B #1 hit. Only legends like Aretha Franklin and Tina Turner had achieved new top 10 albums across 4 decades. When asked if he'd trade it all to walk once more, his response was profound and truly indicative of his transformed perspective. "I'd keep the chair and keep the voice. The chair taught me who I am. The voice lets me tell you." He found strength and wisdom in his adversity, embracing his new reality. In 2009, Teddy Pendergrass passed from respiratory illness following colon cancer surgery at the age of 59, but not before selling more than 50 million records total. His smooth, velvety voice, his passionate delivery, and his magnetic stage presence left an indelible mark on music. He inspired every R&B crooner who's ever whispered baby into a microphone, from Luther Vandross and D'Angelo to Usher, Maxwell, and Anthony Hamilton. He was posthumously inducted into the National Rhythm and Blues Hall of Fame in 2021. His influence is immeasurable, and his legacy as a soul music titan and a symbol of resilience is cemented forever. If Teddy's incredible story hit you in the chest, and how could it not, then hit that like button like Teddy hit a high C. Drop a comment below telling us which song of his still gives you goosebumps. And if you're new here, subscribe for more captivating stories of music legends who turn pain into power. From a wooden crate pulpit in North Philly to a Rolls-Royce that couldn't protect him, to a wheelchair that couldn't contain him, Teddy Pendergrass proved the true measure of a man isn't the height he stands, but the depth he reaches. His voice still plays in bedrooms, in hospital wards, in rehab centers where someone needs reminding that life doesn't end when the road bends. It just changes key. So next time you hear "close the door," let it remind you, every ending, every setback is just a comeback in disguise.